Bill, you're making me cry, man. You went down memory lane with everybody. So whatever Bill said about all you guys that got in this year, God bless. I agree 100%. Great people. And that era that you spoke about, and Kyle alluded to, that 92-ish to 97, 8 era, I mean, it was fabulous. People today don't understand, unless you lived through it, and many of you in this room were around in that era, how tough the schedules were in both boys and women's sports at that time. And for our case, of course, I'm talking about women's hoops. And you're talking about teams that were nationally ranked in Illinois constantly, and we were fortunate enough to finally reach that level. That was our goal. And, you're going up against great teams night in, night out, and football was just ferocious back then. And I appreciate the kind words you said about the girls' basketball program and team. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to Katie. And if you don't mind, Kyle, can I share something you said to me? Sure. He came up to me before the event started, and I'm going to start crying, I think, but he said, Coach, I remember more when I saw your girls beat the Pretzels of Freeport downstate, and me and all the boys came down to support the team. And, we were lucky enough to bring home the first state team title, right? And we beat you by a few years, right? And did a couple in a row. It's pretty unbelievable. But, Kyle, that meant a lot to me because he said his memory was more of that, supporting Katie and the girls on that teams and the fun time we had down there, right? Knocking off those teams and beating Mother McCauley. And it was an emotional time for me in my life. I lost my father in December, on December 28th at Dundee Crown that year. You might remember that. He died in the stands. And the girls, without you, I never would have made it through that year. My girls were so strong. And you talked about physical toughness. It was physically hard to want to get back up and go to practice and coach and teach. And, I didn't teach schlocky classes. I taught AP European history. I had to be on my game for those kids. It was hard. But the students at Stevenson got me through that. My classes, my players, I'll never forget that. And here we are today, a stud football player like that, talking about our girls' team. That brings a lot of warmth to me. Thank you, Kyle. People forget, too, that Danielle Mall's senior year in 1994, that may have been the greatest team I ever coached. Seriously. And we didn't make it downstate, but damn were we good. We strung together 30 straight victories with a schedule out of hell and knocked off 3 nationally ranked teams on the way there, nationally ranked, not state ranked. And yet, it was good old Libertyville that knocked us out in a sectional final. It made us stronger, made us tougher mentally, made me mature as a coach. I think our players learned a lot from that game. I just feel so awful. I remember Danielle, I couldn't get her out of the Highland Park gym. I mean, she wouldn't leave. And remember upstairs, we were crying together. And it was really an emotional time for me. And then to be blessed to come back the next year and coach a wonderful girl again in her junior year, Katie Coleman. Katie walked through the doors in 1992, and she was no stranger to me. Her dad, Jim, had talked to me about her when she was in 8th grade. Coach Eichen had told me about her. And Steve was, great mentor for Katie, too, and Fitz and all you guys that came today to support her and be here for her. And I was so blessed to have her as a freshman. You were talking about being scared, little pants brown right there when Mitz came after you. And you were a sophomore. Now, imagine being a freshman. And I had 4 of them on that varsity team in 1992. And Eichen reminds me that the freshman team still went undefeated or something like that without those 4. That's how tough that class was. But I had little Christy Miller at point guard, who couldn't be here today, Katie. She sends her love. She's in Texas. We had Trish DeClark, Swish for Trish. It's the first thing you said. You remember you had signs, the 3-point shooter. And, of course, we had the great Taja Catchings, who wanted to be here, too, today, but she's with her son at another tournament. He's going to college on a full ride, Cannon. And, of course, Tamika Catchings comes the next year. But it was Taja, Katie, Christy, and Trish, the awesome foursome. And then we brought up Noelle later on, remember, to help with some defense. What a lucky man I was to have that group. And Maul was our grandma. That's what they called her. And then she was a junior, and she was our She was our leader. She was our captain before Katie succeeded her, along with Taj. And then Maul's senior year, of course, I referred to her a little earlier. Maul was, that's when Tamika threw your gym shoes on top of the backboard because she could get that high and throw them over there. And Maul couldn't get them back. She didn't get her gym shoes back. I remember that like it was yesterday. That was so funny. They're like, Coach, you're going to get those? I go, are you kidding? Did you see me ever jump? I mean, it's like Shell credit card. So I was so blessed to have Katie. And when I got a phone call this summer from her, and she said, Coach, I'd like you to introduce me. And that is why we coach, and that is why we taught for all the years we've done. There are many gentlemen and ladies in this room who have coached much longer than I have. Some of you are still, I can't believe you're still going. I feel your pain. How do you get up every day and do this? I mean, Mitzi's still going strong, grabbing guys by the neck, I hope. I mean, no, he's toned that down. I mean, Bob Taylor's still coaching baseball. Swan he's probably having fits. He's not in the football field today. I mean, 55 years. I mean, God bless you. And he's still coaching basketball. How about Shabo, Weimer? I mean, these guys, they never Trish, can I come back or two or what? I mean, Carmichael doesn't need me, but hell, I can, I can assist a little bit, on the side. I proved that. I can assist. Anyway, going back to my girl, when she asked me to do this, it was an honor and a privilege. And I told her, absolutely, I'll come in. I'd love to fly in. I live in Phoenix now with my wife and my son, and I'm enjoying retirement. And so Katie goes, Coach, I want to take care of you. I said, what do you mean? She goes, I want to fly you in and fly you back. I'm like, Katie, I'm not a pauper. I can handle this. And she says, heck, I got miles. I says, okay, Kate. I gave her my information. I mean, you're so kind. That's generosity from the heart. You know what I mean? And I really appreciate her. And all these accolades, when you take this book home tonight and you finally have some time to relax and you read all these honors and awards and accolades and championships and all the numbers, they're numbers on a black and white piece, black and white. What comes to mind about Katie for me are not all these accolades and awards and numbers, although I do want to speak about one thing on the numbers. The one thing I'm the most proud of, and I know she's most proud, is you look on the right side of the column on her career record, and it's 9. 4 years on a varsity, 9 losses. 4 full years, she never missed a game, never missed a practice, almost missed a game when you got crushed on the floor in the sectional final, our first sectional championship final, and the floor went nuts. You remember against Libertyville? And we had, you talk about low and the trainers helping her get ready for that game in the super sectional, which was a not too tough team. I think, who did we play that year? Like Resurrection, like they were top 25 or something in the nation. So I really appreciate you guys getting her back for that game. I don't know, what memories. So the things I remember about her was she just had that will to win, like Bill mentioned about Kyle. I think anybody who made this Hall of Fame as a player, you had those qualities. You were mentally tough, you were physically tough, you were trustworthy, you were loyal, and you played hard. You hustled. I mean, we had a saying in our program, pride, hustle, and dedication. Katie epitomizes that. Those are the qualities that made her a great player, a great student, a great person. Nobody was more trustworthy than Katie. She trusted me like her second father, which I appreciated, and I trusted her like a daughter. You wanted the ball in her hands. Hell, before Caitlin Clark, there was Katie Coleman, okay? She could shoot. She could score. She could make her free throws. She could actually use her left hand. Oh, sorry, I didn't say that, because that's one of my pet peeves about Clark getting better going left. But she's a stud. But Coleman was Coleman back in 92 to 96 in high school, and then she continued that on in Illinois. And then you talk about loyalty. She graduates from Illinois, gets a full-time job out here in the business world, and she comes back and helps us. She helped that girl right there, sitting right there, Jenny Dant. Junior and senior years, Jen, you think we would have been as good as we were without Coach Coleman? Because Coach Coleman was as good a coach as she was a player. She was relentless. You talk about going up against Coleman in practice. Now Dan had somebody that really knew what it was like to play against an All-American. And Jenny herself became one, thanks to that. And we got downstate, didn't we, Coach? with Jenny's team, with Fitz and Ike and that Elite Eight. And, of course, New Trier knocked us out, by the way. Carmichael, your future school that you worked at. But that was a great run, too. And Katie graduates, comes back, gets a job, and does this for free out of loyalty. I know she did it for me. I asked her to help, and it's nothing like having your old players back because they show the new group what it takes to be great. We set the bar here. We never set the bar low. And my attitude to the kids was, if you set it higher, and Bet will tell you this because Coach Bethauser was with our team from the whole time from 92 to 96, and you got to set the bar high. If you don't reach it, don't get down about it. Don't pout. Just keep working as hard as you can. And if, I had teams later on that weren't nearly as talented as and we still set that bar high. We still played great teams. And even though we might not have won the games, I always told the girls, you did what you had to do to the best of your ability. And that's what Coleman always wanted to do. I want to make my team great. She was all about team. Her stats could have been much higher and much larger, as Jim always reminds me, if she was at another school with a couple other, maybe one or two decent players. But she knew what her job was when you have players like we had. We had role players like a Rebecca Ford. We had role little player point guards like Christy Miller, 5'4" shooters, and then we had catchings, okay? And you better catch the lightning in the bottle when you have those players. And Coleman made sure we did it. Katie was the glue of that team. Taja would tell you that. So would Tamika. Tamika adored Katie Coleman. She sends her best, by the way, as does Coach Power and a bunch of other people. But when I told other people, Coach, that you got into, I call you Coach now. When I told them Katie got into the Hall of Fame, one of the coaches, the first guy, Corey Knigge, said, "You mean she's not in?" And I said, "No." And so I am so thrilled for you, Katie. You mean so much to me and my family. And the other aspect is a tough love and Katie's love for the game and passion for the game. And she got that from her parents, her sisters, her relatives. Colleen and Megan are her sisters. They're over there. They came to support Kate. And, of course, Kate's partner and her daughter. Look at the little girl drawn. She's going, "Will this guy please stop?" And Jackie Coleman, who was a perfect fit for this marriage. Because as a lot of you know, Jim could get a little rambunctious in the stands. So I remember when Katie was little, and I don't know, Jim, if you ever knew this, but your wife was worried about you screaming too much at Katie. And it was a summer league game. And so you started bringing, you remember those Twizzlers that you used to eat and chew on? So to shut him up, to put it bluntly, we gave him Twizzlers. And that was your thing. You used to eat the Twizzlers all the time. That was your thing. But what wonderful parents. Jim, Jackie, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. You never, ever gave me any trouble at all. You were always up front with me, and I appreciated that very much. You loved your kid. You were supportive parents, loving parents, and now this is the reward. From the class of 1996, one of the newest inductees into the 2024 Hall of Fame, I welcome Katie Coleman.
Thanks.
Love you. Thank you. In
All
case
right.
you want to know what you did.
Okay. I finally have my shot. For 4 years, I had to listen to that every single day. It's probably like 40,000 hours of Mattucci speeches, but for some reason, I never actually got tired of them. So thanks, Coach. I wanted to begin by thanking the Hall of Fame committee for this incredible honor. To be standing here today along so many talented individuals is truly humbling. A special thanks to Trish Bethauser for sponsoring this event. And for also being part of one of the best practice squads of all time. It was Trish Bethauser, Twaddell, Larson, Tommaso, and Latka. And we had to go up against those guys every day in practice, and I think some of those games were probably more competitive than our actual games. I wanted to thank my family who's here, my parents, Jackie and Jim, my wife, Kate, my daughter, Nora, my sisters and brother-in-law, my nieces, and other family members who aren't here. My parents never missed a game, whether that was in junior high or high school or college. My dad's even here in a wheelchair. He wouldn't miss it. So he made it. My family's always been my biggest supporters and fans, and I thank them. So I started playing basketball at the age of 10, and Danielle might remember this, at the Ron DeBolt basketball camp. And at the time, I really had no idea the impact the game would have on my life. And basketball's been one of the greatest gifts. It's taught me so much: success, failure, the importance of dedication, how to work with others. Later on, it would connect me to my wife, Kate, and the fact that I hold the three-point record at the University of Illinois. It's funny, it still comes up in work meetings today. People will mention that. So I fell in love with the game at a young age and was lucky enough to grow up with some other kids, Noelle Menwalt, Christy Miller, Felice Rosenzweig, and they had the same passion that I did. We all moved on from Twin Groves Junior High, playing for Steve Eichen, and became a part of the Stevenson basketball program from 1992 to 1996. And being a part of something so special can change your life, and those 4 years definitely changed mine. Whenever I think about that time, there's really three things that I think about. The first is coaches. So Mattucci, scouting reports, the walkthroughs, the game film, and back in our day it was VHS tapes, and Mattucci would wheel down this TV that was on a stand, and we would sit in the faculty dining room and watch game film. And after every single game, he would go home and watch the game and take stats himself and do a one-page write-up of the entire game and his feedback. Every player who's played for Mattucci knows our values of pride, hustle, and dedication, and you exemplified them every day. So thank you for leading by example. Tom Kelly was our assistant coach, the ultimate cheerleader. He was the best. I know he's not here today, but I wanted to thank him for all the sacrifices that he made. It's funny being a parent and older now. I didn't realize the dedication and commitment. I mean, Coach Kelly had, I think, 3 girls at the time. And what he did for us was just remarkable. And the investment that he made in us as people is something I always remember. The second thing I think about is my teammates. So did we have a lot of talent on the team? Yeah. If you want to talk about how great Tamika Catchings is, I'll talk to you for hours out there. In my mind, she's the GOAT. No one dominated the floor on both ends like Tamika. Taja was relentless. She was always at the point of our press, and I don't think anybody could ever get past her. Danielle Mall was the first person who taught me what it meant to be a leader, and I thank her for that. But the thing is that there were a lot of teams that we played against that were more talented than us. We played against Whitney Young. I think they had 5 Division I players, starters. Pickerington, Ohio, if anybody was at that game, you probably thought we'd lose the game just based on the warm-ups. Loyola in the super sectional, but yeah, we won these games because of our role players, and there was no egos, 100% support. We always had each other's backs, and everyone would always step up in key moments. So teammates like Rebecca Ford, Miller, DeClark, Noelle, Felice, Aaron, Kim, Campbell, Bees, Bartelt, Roth, Smitty, and Chanis are wonderful teammates and friends, and all had the belief that the team came before any individual. And last but not least, I wanted to thank the community of Stevenson. You know, we are surrounded by countless supportive parents, administrators. I do want to give a shout out to Dr. Dufour, who was such an important part of our program. Teachers, many here today. Dolores Fisher is one of them. Other coaches, Fitz, Trish, Renee Gates, you know, when players came back. Willis, who was our scorekeeper. Moose, who was maybe team security or something. I don't know what his role was. And so many other countless friends and classmates. So once again, I just want to thank the committee for this wonderful honor. To everyone who believed in me and supported me through my journey, I really appreciate it. My time at Stevenson was extremely special, and I will cherish all the friendships and memories that I made here. Thank you.